Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Music Den. I am your host, Armando Venditti. Ladies and gentlemen, we are in the home stretch. We've hit day 28 of our 31 perfect albums. I'm again joined by my illustrious crew. How's it going, guys?
Doing well.
Great.
We have Mr. Jim Bricker, Bill Schuster, and the one and only Mr. Ken Cheshire. How's it? I cannot keep a straight face with you guys. I swear to God, I always end up laughing halfway through the introductions. um, which is a good thing, is a good thing. All
Yeah.
right, ladies and gentlemen, as I said, we're entering the final stretch here, day 28 of our 31 perfect albums. Perfect. I mean, perfect, perfection. No duds in the bunch. All right. So without further ado, I will keep the tradition going and hand the virtual mic down to Mr. Jim Bricker, as I see on my screen. Thank you.
Hello.
Yes.
All right. This is my last album of the 80s, promise. Not that there's anything wrong with that. This is an album from a guy who had quite quite a discography from the 70s and even up to today. He's a stylistic chameleon. I almost said comedian, but
Yeah,
he
you
can be
did
funny in his
actually.
songs too. He's a comedic chameleon, and his songs, like Elvis Costello, are known for their, acerbic wit, but also really, really great hooks. This is the final 1980s album from Joe Jackson called Blaze of Glory. Now, this is, I thought you might like that. This is not, is she really going out with him? Um, this is very, very far removed from that. It's not a concept album as much as it is a suite of songs around themes of youthful dreams and longing to the realities of striving as an adult and kind of looking forward to what the rest of life may hold. Um, it's it's a very mature, very diverse, fulfilling, and cohesive album. Most of the songs segue together, so you've got kind of that dark side of the moon thing going on. I guess if you were to apply a theme to the overall album, it's just about growth and realization. But doesn't sound like the most exciting thing. But when he it kicks off with him basically as a youth buying into the dreams and the vision of what the future is going to hold for people. So much like in the way of Donald Fagen's New Frontier, you've got kind of this youthful perspective on, what the future is going to look like, for people, or not New Frontier, but IGY. That's what I meant to say, IGY. Um, the this is probably the tightest band that Joe Jackson had, even though it was enormous. I mean, there's six reed and horn players alone on this album. So you've got a six-person brass and reed section. You've got multiple bass players, multiple guitarists and keyboardists, drums and percussion. There's a lot of the usual suspects from Joe Jackson's world in there. Graham Maybe, Vinnie Zumo, Sue Hajopoulos, Joy Askew, names that would be familiar for people who love that album that's sitting behind Bill's head. There it is, Night and Day. Um, but it's just a very full, warm, mature sound. It it rocks, it lulls, it has sweeping orchestral sections. It's got kind of an pseudo industrial section towards the end. Um, it's playful in how the album wraps up, talking about the human touch that's necessary to sort of keep us all together and keep moving forward to the next stages in life. It is absolutely my favorite Joe Jackson record, and I'm, Night and Day, Body and Soul, Big World. I love those albums, but I love this one even more. Um, to me, it just grows more pertinent every year I walk on this earth, and I'm able to relate to it more and more. Yeah, was not a huge hit when it was released. I'm sure that disappointed A&M, but I just adored this album from the moment I heard it and still do today. So, Joe Jackson, Blaze of Glory from 1989. It's perfect.
I give
Harumph.
you an argument. Yeah, that's one of my absolute favorite Joe Jackson albums too. I played that cassette as soon as it came out. Many nights alone in my bedroom in the dark and just reveled in the masterpiece. Yeah, the sequencing on it is great. That exact what you talked about, the more industrial touch. I'm disciplined that, and then to go into the human touch from that. Yeah, it's a very well sequenced album, and I am going to be 19 forever, just for the record. So.
Okay.
There you go. All right, moving over to Bill for your choice for day 28.
All right. My choice, I'm jumping from, I was in 2005, I'm going all the way up to 2013 now. This artist was in a band. It started as a solo project with a band name, eventually became a band, and then he put the band on hold and started an actual official solo career. This guy was famous for a long time for denying his progressive rock roots. This album absolutely put the lie to that. It's Steven Wilson, the raven that refused to sing, and other stories. This album inspired me to write my first ever Amazon album review. I was just, you got to have the Blu-ray surround. There's no two ways about it. So I got the CD too, and it's all well and good. But sitting in the surround sound, it doesn't even have to be a great system. Just even your cheap, basic, run-of-the-mill Walmart surround sound system. You sit yourself right in the middle of it and play this thing. And this man is so good, so skillful in the studio. You don't need high-end equipment to really get an experience out of this, I don't think. The band that he has on here is absolutely ridiculous. It's probably the best set of players he's had ever, before and after. And I love most of the stuff he's ever done to some degree. But Nick Beggs on bass, Mr. Too Shy himself, which I'm sure he loves to be reminded that he got his start in Kajagoogoo.
Kajagoogoo. Love me some Kajagoogoo.
Guthrie Govan on lead guitar. Wow. Wow. The powerful emotional leads this guy comes up with on this album are just ridiculous. I mean, Steven writes the songs with these guys in mind, but I think Guthrie takes it places that Steve could only dream of. Adam Holzman on all sorts of keys, Marco Miniman on drums, and Theo Travis, flute, sax, clarinet. I mean, this is a murderer's row of modern musicians here. It's ridiculous, and its associate producer and recording engineer is Alan Parsons himself. And the Blu-ray DVD was authored by Gentle Giant's Ray Schulman. So if all these musicians, all these connections don't make it obvious, yeah, Steve was and is a progressive rock fan and musician when he wants to be. So don't let those old interviews fool you where he tried to run away from that tag.
Mm-hmm. Very unconvincingly so, I should say.
Yeah.
This is a song or album of 6 songs. They're all essentially ghost stories. They flow together well. And the videos for some of these songs are extra effective. The title track, listening to the song and watching the video for it, absolutely heart crushing. The story of this guy who lost his sister in childhood, and he thinks she's come back in the form of this raven. It's just a beautiful, but horribly sad story. Mm-hmm. And yeah, a way to end the album after all the stuff that came before it. There's a lot of sad stuff on this album. It can be very emotional, but Yeah, if you haven't heard this and you're even remotely a progressive rock fan, why not? This is kind of the most obvious progressive rock choice, I think, of the 21st century. If you're a fan of modern prog, it's kind of a no-brainer. So that would be my first go-to to recommend a modern progressive rock album to anyone who hasn't listened to prog since the 70s. The Raven That Refused to Sing and Other Stories by Stephen Wilson.
Cool.
Yeah, I'll second that. Guthrie and Marco are just complete monsters on this album. The lead off track is just with those, staccato bursts of, bass and drum and guitar, and the final solo on Drive Home, that extended piece by Guthrie, is just to die for. It's really great.
I'm hearing it
It's
in
a
my
good
ears.
album. I have it. Yeah. Yeah. No, okay. Over to Ken.
Okay. This is one of those albums that has one of the hit singles that for many, many people, that's the only song they identify with from this artist. I'm in May 23rd, 1994. Matter of fact, they just came out with the 30th anniversary extended edition of this, and it's one of my favorite albums, and that is Invisible.
Yes, it does. Oh, wait, there it is. Barely
Yeah, I know. I
visible.
got to get it just right. It's Seal's second album.
We'll put the graphic up on the screen.
Yeah, thank you. But both his first two albums are self-titled.
Mhm,
So this is more commonly known as Seal 2.
mhm.
One easy way, if you were looking it up, it's through there again. It's released in 1994. Produced by one of my favorite producers, Trevor Horn. Just absolutely brilliant in the studio. He backs himself up by an incredible band, especially includes Wendy and Lisa from
And the
Prince band.
Revolution. Yeah.
Yeah. He's got Pino Palladino on some of the tracks. Jeff Beck on this album.
Yeah.
And Jim, you may not know this, but you probably do. He actually is joined on the song "If I Could" by Joni Mitchell on vocals.
I did not know that.
Today you learned, yeah.
Yay.
This
Yeah.
album, sonically, it's just unbelievable. This 30th anniversary edition is the third time I've bought this album. I have the original. I've got the Blu-ray with the 5.1 surround mix, and now I have this. Uh, it sounds fantastic, but then if you put on the headphones, then it's like, holy cow, there's so much going on in there without it being too busy.
Mhm, mhm.
And Wendy and Lisa just add such class. I really feel that this is one of the most sophisticated albums I've heard of. Of course, the big single off of it is Kiss from a Rose. And I confess, it's of the 11 songs on this album, it's my least favorite. To me, the others are just that good. It peaked at number 15 on the US charts, but it's gone 5 times platinum, which means at least 5 million units sold.
Yeah,
That's
this album was massive when it came out.
Yeah, it's just absolutely unbelievable. I love his first album. I love most of his albums after this, but this just just slays me. Here again, there's a reason it's on my list for perfect albums.
Mhm.
Uh, and Seal is just one of my um, I don't know how I found this album either. There's just I don't know whether it's just old age senility or 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 whatever. I've erased some of my memories to make room for other stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, from just the very first play, this album just grabs you and holds on to you. It just makes you feel good. The songwriting is unbelievable.
Yeah.
Seal's vocals are just amazing,
Mhm.
absolutely amazing. And of course, Kiss from a Rose was featured on Batman Forever, which is why most people only know him from this one song. If they do, they're losing out.
This album, massive. I have it. It's my favorite.
Yeah,
You know, um, yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there.
that's okay. I find that overall, one of the most difficult things for artists to do is surpass their first album with a second album.
Yeah,
You
the
know,
sophomore
artists will
piece.
come out with a killer first album, and then the pressure's on. Oh my gosh, how do we top this, or how to at least
Right.
match the opening album? And this is one that manages to do it spectacularly so. And a lot of that is because he cannot do no wrong when he's teamed up with Trevor Horn
Right.
at the soundboard.
Yeah.
You know, so
Yeah.
Seal too.
Fantastic album. My favorite track on the album is Don't Cry.
Oh yeah.
Sorry, in the first verse it says, when we were young and truth is paramount. Meaning when we were young, we were more sure of everything. The older we get, the less unsure, the more unsure we are. Like doubt creeps in and it never goes away to an extent. So it's just brilliant, just great. No, perfect choice. Again, the premise of the series. Ladies and gentlemen, enough of my carrying on. My pick for day 28. And I'm sure I see Jim smiling because he knows, okay, we have to end this quick. My pick for day 28, we're going to the year 1999, not the album, the year, with Dream Theater with Metropolis Part 2, Scenes from the Memory, released to Elektra Records. 12 tracks, like over 70 minutes of, yes, progressive metal, but there is a storyline to this album. It's a concept album about an individual named Nicholas who is having dreams about this woman named Victoria coming to him, asking him to help her solve who murdered her. So he goes to therapy and starts going through regression therapy, I think it's called. And through this therapy, there was a woman who was murdered in 1928 by the name of Victoria. Through his therapy sessions, he realizes that he is Victoria reincarnated. And the therapist that is helping him through these sessions realizes and knows the truth that the therapist is the reincarnation of the individual who murdered Victoria. It is a intricate web of deception, of infidelity, of murder and deceit, and very intricate, very layered. And it's a very personal story for me due to the fact that I lost my sister at the hands of her husband. And when I read the story, when I read about this album on Wikipedia of such places, of all places, I bought the album solely on reading what it was about. The music is layered, it's heavy, it's complex, textured, dense, intricate, varied. You have heavy rock, you have ballads, you have even vaudeville in terms of the instrumentation. Beautifully executed by the band. Mike Portnoy, sorry, on drums. Immaculate. John Petrucci on guitar. Flawless. Jordan Rudess on keyboards. A master. And James Labrie on lead vocals. Perfection. Perfection. It ends with Nicholas figuring out that he is in fact Victoria. It also ends with the therapist realizing that Nicholas has figured out that he is Victoria. And it ends with, you have to buy to find out. I go there. It is just 12 tracks of perfection. This is not an album that can be listened to, the tracks to be cherry picked. And as Bob is swearing in the background, I can just imagine what is going on out there. It is an album that needs to be listened to in its entirety. Do not skip a track. Make yourself some food. Grab a coffee, grab a drink, sit back with headphones, and just go on a journey. And you will enjoy this album. It is brilliant, start to finish. So that is my pick for day 28. Metropolis Part 2, Scenes from a Memory from Dream Theater. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of, as I said, day 28. So much for not being repetitive, but there you go. It's our channel, my channel, our show, and we're going to do this. So, please put down in the comments below your pick for day 28. Could be any genre. Yes, even Taylor Swift. All right. So, as Ken rolls his eyes at that, okay, fine. You know, guys, we've enjoyed doing this series, and we have 3 more segments to bring to you. So we're coming to a close on this, but we have enjoyed doing this, and we hope you enjoy watching it. So for Bob's really distracting me here. For Ken, Bill, and Jim, I'm Armando signing off for now. Please look after yourselves and one another. And we will see you soon for day 29 of our 31 perfect albums. Bye for now.